Alright, just kidding. Welcome on back. We're going to do one more musings before bed. Um, I was coming up with an idea to explain, well, basically, a lot of psychological and sociological perspectives and what we can do about them. So, uh, the death of people nearby or close to me, like, that's something that I know, and I can actually speak to to like how they were as people leading up to their death, like what caused the death and what all caused it, not just the base cause, but like what factors attributed to it. And that's an often overlooked aspect of things. And law enforcement does do all this, like detectives and investigators and all this, like they do. They think of all the motive, all of the factors leading up to the actual crime, and how to prevent the crime in the first place. And that's the biggest part in my area of expertise. And that's being very generous too. Like it's not I'm no real expert. I'm still a novice computer scientist and a novice cybersecurity white hat professional, but I am a white hat. People have told me that they're more gray, and at least I think of myself as, not identify as, like not just ruffle any feathers that way, but like just be like, I see myself as someone who signed an oath to keep people safe from cybercrime. That simple. And of course, I'm going to focus on my country and my family first, but that means all people, like people around the world. It's a global, it's a global way of thinking. So also I was going to say there's a spot where we can put all this sand. Oops, might be glitching out. Okay, so that one. Let's go ahead and get some more wood. But anyways, I wanted to talk about it. So I will be gathering up resources and doing like a mausoleum or a memorial there, but I like that it's going to be more like a temple, like the Acropolis with a bunch of columns. And it's also going to be a temple in that there can be parts dedicated to remembering someone from the past. There can be parts dedicated to how do you want to move on successfully and um, promote success amongst the people around you and around the world. Like, how do we live in a more comfortable society, a cheaper society? And all that stuff. And even just that, like some of the ideas that we've had, the concepts, and I've got like a few books there that are kind of like scattered haphazardly. And I started to make like a white palace, like mausoleum, museum, library type thing up there, but I just wasn't feeling it. But I mean, now that I know that I'm going to dedicate, I guess they don't have to be all the way over there. Like the statues of the fallen, although that is kind of a lot of people. So like I've started tallying it up. It's like notches on the belt. Like after a while, you lose track and there's the numbers. You got to really think about it. But like as far as like people dying, I mean, they pop in my head randomly. Like it's just like, oh, this person, and I might not like see dead people like the Sixth Sense or anything like that. Like I think about them, and then it's like and so they're still a part of my life, like an influence into my decisions. We're not alone in thinking that way. Like if you look at Mulan and like the Asian culture, which is great, Disney like at least tries to like connect other cultures from around the world, albeit kind of paints it as like a princessy. Anyways, Mulan was good, um, and they're doing better about that. But uh, sorry, getting off on a tangent. But respecting your elders, the deceased, like praying to them, letting them know that you're trying to do okay and like what you're doing, and then adding that layer of accountability to where, oh, my ancestors are watching me. Like, would they be embarrassed? Would they be disappointed? I can only imagine what mine are thinking. And I'm actually going through, my last remaining grandma right now is going through a hard time, has memory problems, and it's a really sad thing to see. And I was in a hospital for a little while. And there was a lady in there that had such short-term memory loss that within like 10 seconds to a minute, she would just blink and everything would go like blank for her. And like, in fact, like I saw her, she tried to run into my room and she was like just yelling out someone's name and like she thought I was someone else and she was like trying to come after me. I was like, who is this? Like, hello. So, so it was kind of scary, but it was like someone trying to be like, seeking comfort in a scary and uncomfortable place, like just a reassurance that like, hey, are we okay? Are we in jail? Are we in hell? Like, this poor lady, like who knows what she was thinking. And I befriended her and like we did crayon and colored pencil drawings and all that, and it was a good time. So ever that being a leader in situations, not like boastfully, and I don't like talking about it a lot, just like a lot of people, like the Clint Eastwoods of the, and I'm not even any military anything, but like people that have seen things and done things like the noble way. It's not good to brag about it because then you're going to be second guessing yourself, even if nobody else even cares or remembers, which most of the time that's the case. Is like often we think more of other people than what's actually going to be like concerned with. Like they're gonna look at you and think of about like all of these other things about you, not just this one defining moment. Like, granted, one defining moment could really make or break like how people see you, but there's always coming back unless they're dead. Like that's the thing, is like you can always come back, you can make amends, you can, and that's one thing AA teaches. It's like, and I've tried to like quit drinking that way, and I didn't like the God aspect too, because it was like, okay, well, only people that believe in God, like, okay, pull the hood, it's a missionary from back in the Spanish Inquisition days. Like, you're trying to spread religion, and maybe, a lot of them do it because they don't want people to go to hell and burn in eternal damnation and like all this. And it's like, yeah, who would? Like, would you casually wish that on anyone? No, it's ridiculous. And like, people rip on Islamic religions where they get 72 virgins in the afterlife for doing and having to do the hard work and the holy war and all this. And people are starting to figure out like, we need to be a little more we need to be a little more skeptical about this. Like Rick and Morty has an episode where a great warrior tribe, he wants to be killed by Rick because to be killed by a great warrior, a known great warrior, it's an honorable death, and you go to that heaven, or the heaven for that species. And that kind of leads the belief for the idea that there's different heavens based on what, type of person or animal you are, or species, or, yeah, what type of person. Like in Rick and Morty, there's a lot of choices because there's a lot of aliens and interdimensional time beings and such, but the idea remains. And a lot of the shows like that, like Futurama had an episode where Bender got to see what it was like to be God, like had a whole civilization on his stomach, and then another one on his back, and like the backside and the stomach one were at war, and then he saw them blow each other up with nukes all over who he loved more, and he was like, wait a minute, you just killed everybody. And so things like that lead you to believe, like, if there is a God, do they want us like blowing each other up over who he or she cares about most, or whether that's even a thing? Like, maybe our God is ancient aliens, or like Lisa's tooth. The Simpsons have an episode where Lisa has a tooth that grows mold and then grows a civilization, and she becomes God. And she tries her best to teach them because she's the more sciencey one in the group. Like, no, religion is false. Like, I'm just a person, and I made you by accident. And then there's that idea. Like, what if God, like, accidentally sneezed and created the universe? Like, the Bible doesn't talk about that. Like, what if there's the big oops, Like, who knows? Like, we don't have any proof in the former. We do have some evidence that suggests, or that supports the Big Bang Theory of where there was a singularity, or all the matter in the universe was condensed at, like, a finite point and exploded because like, it collapsed on itself. And we have, like, the life and death of stars to kind of look at evidence of that. We see the different stages of stars, all the way to where they collapse and explode on themselves. And then there's like the common memes about, or even just ideas that the Earth is going to end one day because the sun is going to burn out, but not for like 5 billion years. And we're living in a fraction of like a blink of an eye in the history of the Earth. And we've already come so far. Like, we've got virtual reality. We're going to be making simulations, which is kind of scary because, like, at least in the days of the Matrix, I remember that time, or I think I remember that. But see, again, like, if memories were implanted on my brain, been like, oops, you know, like, he thinks he lived through the Matrix. He thinks he lived through the Macarena. So, all right, one second, I gotta go put this pizza in. All right. So that's actually pizza being cooked late at night so I can have lunch tomorrow at work. I am gonna try to go by the office and just see how things are. Supposedly the heat's still out, so, and if that's the case, I'm gonna just work from home all week, but I usually work from home a lot of the week anyway. So, yeah. I love it. Like, that's one of the few things that happened good from COVID. People realized they could work remote. So much work can be done remotely, especially like if you just trust people to wake up, like they're comfortable, they get their coffee, they get their breakfast, they start like knocking things out. Like I get through so much stuff just within the first hour or two. I respond to people that have been up since like, 6 in the morning. Trying to coach people that are messaging outside of work hours to be like, hey, come on now, do it during work hours. Like especially just non-emergencies. If it's an emergency, like I used to work at a tier one help desk where we would get calls at all hours of the night, um, for production being down. Like, and production had to be stopped. Like, this had to be affecting production. If it was just affecting one person's production, then I don't know. That was kind of like a gray area, and I've had a few of those calls where it was like, well, yeah, it's, they forgot their password or stuff, and then I help with that. But for like restarting servers and stuff, they didn't let us do that. We were just the front desk. So we would triage that out to one of the server admins, and we would have to wake him up, usually somewhere out in like Illinois, and like, so it was, and it was the middle of the night here in Colorado, and like, and my job could have literally be done anywhere, as long as I had a strong VPN, strong home security network, and all that. And like, I'm not saying I have like the best now, but I do have Alphabet Agency monitoring because of my degree level, my education in cybersecurity, and like learning how to hack and all that. And my project was defacing a web server, um, changing a password, cracking a password twice on camera. Granted, that was a little bit front loaded. Like, in reality, password cracking is a little harder, but you just have to do a couple of adjustments and then you're still pretty much in it, like the majority of services. So, I mean, and people are fixing that and it's great. And like the more we do spread awareness of it and be more inclusive with how we educate cybersecurity, the more it's just going to be stamped out. But we also got to make everything more free. That's where the gray hats become the white hats, because gray hats only exist because there are laws that are unjust. Like prohibition of any substance is really, like, I mean, and the way we handle it too, because it's not just prohibition, it's prohibition and then ruin someone's life for at least 5 to 10 years. And so, and that's just too much of a price. Like, yeah, slave labor is still kind of a thing, wage slaves, and like everybody has to start from the bottom, and that's like understandable to a point. But as long as people know that and have a like an end in sight, then it makes being at the bottom that much better. So you're still in servitude. You're still doing like wage slavery, the basic form of as ethical as we can get it. Unfortunately, we have to tie felonies to it as is, and that's why like, let's see, what can I condense here? I mean, I don't need sticks. There we go. It's like, well, we might need to get a whole nother stack, but anyways, um, the punishment, the corrections of the behavior are more. It's more than an eye for an eye. It's like kicking a hornet's nest. Like, oh, you just kicked a hornet's nest, and then they come out and they like attack you to the death and all that, which is the same thing. Military running around policing the world, trying to kill a bunch of people and blow things up. Like, even if you didn't intend to do it, guess what? Your people did. So like, your company that you're with is set out to go and like, cause some death over here. So there's the ethical question of, are we doing it the best we can? Like, is that the best you can do? It's still like, I'm not saying like unsupport our troops and turn your back or anything ridiculous like that. It's more like, what can we do to fix it to where they don't have to die? They don't have to be suckers and losers like Trump says. Like, but even the fact that yeah, because said out of context, that's pretty infuriating to anybody. And like a lot of people in my family served, and that's why I pointed that out to that random dude on the internet, because it's like, I do seem pretty hippy dippy. I'm advocating for, well, women equality for one. That's a big one. That, in fact, hey, let's actually take that back and try to finish the post and then jump down. So we have time. Yeah, or yeah, I got the pizza cooking, so I might have to leave for that. And then just cut this around half an hour, try to keep them all. We can actually finish the corner post to build height and then do a big jump. I mean, it's already pretty up there. Like we're already at 120. Okay. Oh man. Now we're getting to the top of these. Okay, so 152 to 320, I believe. All right, we can do it. Also, take a bit to take a gander. Yeah, just going up to there. So it's still a ways, but it's doable. We're taller than the lava column, so at some point we'll have to make new lava columns from the top. But I want to have stairs all the way up, and we're getting pretty close on that too. Just yeah, it's like 150 more. So I think like 15 more stories, because I think I was seeing about 10 blocks for each staircase. So I think that's a rough estimate. And then I don't know, I wasn't paying that close attention, but okay. So 200s, we got 100 to go. It's still quite a ways. Like it's gonna be a few staircases. Uh, so, anyways, yeah, talking on the X app, social media. It gets pretty political, but like talking about things, everything, gun rights, religion, military, how we're solving problems, and how we could be solving problems better. And still, like not throwing the baby out with the bathwater and completely condemning. Like I was really quick to walk back a lot of what I said about military. Like, yeah, it's almost as bad as murder, and like it's not. I would argue that it's not quite protected under like biblical law if it's being overdone. Like conquest and colonialization. Like while back in the day, like okay, but not okay. And we can say that over and over now, but yet we still do a lot of it and act like, oh wait, but this one isn't. So all right, this is build height. And so we just have a little bit to catch up with that one. Kind of a bit to catch up with that one. Almost the same as what we did. We just went through 2 stacks, 2.5 stacks, and now. Ah! Oh gosh. Oh, that is intense. I almost don't want those to be there. Like, maybe we should go remove those. Also, we need to fix that, so maybe we'll go do some trading real quick. But if I want to jump off the top of that building, like I want there to be ob- or ample places you can go, ample directions, vectors. So if I end up going flying too far, I'm not going to kill myself or like die from landing on that. So, anyways, yeah. So my idea with the mausoleum and everything is to attribute, like, write books, like write in the Minecraft books, like how to fix the problems, but then also maybe make pieces of armor, like leather armor, and enchant them with, or put name tags on them, and just say, okay, well, this is PTSD or depression, or this is massive amounts of debt, like. And that's kind of an homage to when I thought you had to go up out of the water, but now I changed it to redstone blocks. And now you can do underwater roller coasters. So, anyways, let's go drop off some of the stuff. Glass. We could fix the other one. Although I think we need to do some stairs for that. So let's go ahead and do that. Fix up the shovel. That's a good idea. And of course, the peaceful music ever going. Wait, what? Alright, nice. Okay. Actually, let's take that and then. Or no, let's leave it all. Sorry. I keep forgetting what I'm trying to do. Look, we're gonna go fix the shovel. That's right. Stay on focus. So, but anyways, and then the armor can represent the different aspects of each problem. Because if you're trying to solve poverty, or if you're trying to solve world peace, like, very big macro level issues that have a lot of things leading up to it, and a lot of that is bad business or good business considered to the victor or the one who benefits the most, but bad business otherwise. So, yeah, and $5 for a cardboard pizza. I'm cooking it the night before, and that's gonna be my lunch tomorrow. So little things like that, because I still gotta save. I gotta scrimp and save for paying back my student loans, and then my additional loans, which are above and beyond student loans, and are treated like normal loans for my cybersecurity boot camp. So there was like 10 grand that way. 2 grand off as a discount because I had already gotten a degree from CSU. Spent the better part of a decade doing school at CSU and Front Range. So, yeah, it was pretty expensive. But I also came with a lot of money too, like several tens of thousands of dollars. So, and well, I wasn't no Walter White, but I wasn't no Skylar White either. Like, or Walter Jr., I guess, would be a good comparison. Like, he's a good kid, like, maybe tried to buy alcohol, which was funny because, I mean, when you work jobs and stuff, you always have, like, alcohol buyers. Like, I hate to say it. And I feel like a lot of countries have a better handle on introducing younger kids to alcohol at, like, 18, but with the family. And that's still okay around here. Like, oh, hold on, let me go get that pizza. So yeah, and with that pizza, it doesn't matter. And see, I could be falling off, but I'm not. So, anyways, $5. That's dinner tonight or late night snack. I gotta be careful not to eat too much, and then have problems sleeping. Like, and then yeah, getting older sucks. But um, oh yeah, and education. So the cheaper and more affordable we make education and distance learning, the better everything is going to be. Like the costs are going to be lower on labor all across the board. Student loans, without student loan payments, people don't owe as much, and then they have the skills to get good jobs that pay good, and then they can get started on their lives faster with less debt. Now, as is, a lot of people had to have a lot of debt, and we're fixing that. Specifically, even the boot camp. Like, if I didn't get my actual degree from CSU, I could have just done the $10,000 thing, without the 40, 50, 60,000. And I did the better part of a decade. So with the exception of like, I think I was out for like a year, took a break to go make some more money, clear some things up. And, oops, I chopped some of the pumpkins. Okay. So, anyways, and accessible too. Like, I had to come to the city. I couldn't have got my degree from Buena Vista, which is probably a good thing. I mean, I needed to get out of Buena Vista. Like, you kind of get stagnant there, and like if you don't go out and do something different, although there are some people that are still there that are pretty successful that they've lived there their whole time, but I don't know. It's just kind of like a dead end town and kind of depressing. So, and it is too. Like it gets too cold to do a lot of things, like anything outdoors for like 3 months of the year. It's like -10 on average with the wind chill. Like it dips down that low like every year. I guess is a more accurate thing to say, but I think it's even colder up on the mountains, and so like I went working at a ski resort for 3 seasons, and I got to experience life on the mountain for a while. Let's see, we just did that one. We need to finish building that. Just looking at the time, we could just make this one a shorter one because I got that pizza. I still do want to eat some of it while it's hot. So, anyways, that's just what we'll be doing. We'll be doing like making items using the name tags, and yeah, and then just having like this was the problem that led to this person's death, and like how do we fix it, and not saying that it's problems like anything they did. Like, yeah, with the one friend, it was he was drinking and driving, but at the same time there was a lot of social pressure. Like, he was at a party up in the woods, like they needed to get more alcohol before the liquor stores closed, so that added a sense of urgency to get to town faster. And then you look at, okay, well, why were they doing that? Well, they were forced to go way up far away so they wouldn't get caught by the cops, or they would be less likely to be in trouble by the cops, because they were drinking illegally underage. But yet most of them were still 18 years old, So, or at least like 17 or 18, high school parties. It was very rare that there was younger kids there, and if they were either messed up or they had enough experience of doing it before to where it wasn't as big of an issue. Like, I mean, it's still concerning, but it's not like, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know how to describe that, but not novice enough to be untrustworthy, but still like kids being kids. And so, anyways, in most countries, including Costa Rica, I drank legally there when I was 18, but illegally because my school program didn't allow it. But we still did anyway. So it's like, I mean, and we were fine. We didn't cause any problems. Like, we didn't get in trouble. We just enjoyed what alcohol was, even some romance stuff. We had a pool. There was a lot of dating going on, and like, and not a lot. Sorry, I say that. Like a lot of more romancing, just like innocent, shy, PG-13 stuff. Um, yeah. Let's see. Let's fix the shovel. And then I'm gonna go eat some of this pizza. But and then the rest for lunch tomorrow. Cause yeah, $5 for 2 meals. It's awesome. That's the way you got to think. Like, I mean, and then even educators, like, until you become like tenured or like you've been at a university for several years or really anywhere for several years, and just to get your student loans forgiven to work in education, you have to have like so many payments in a row towards it that qualify in a concurrent payment. So if you take a break, like then it jams up your paperwork reprocessing, or it could make it to where you still need to make another few years of payments because these ones didn't qualify for whatever reason, and it's just a nightmare, and it's already like at high interest. Like people are trying to make entire jobs and livelihoods and Wall Street investments. Oh yeah, I could go on for a whole episode on that, but for this one, let's give you back some of your time. There's 3.5 minutes, tree fitty. I'll see you in the next one. I'm gonna go eat some pizza. Ta ta.